Got special guest, my guy from A to Z Sports, Mike Payton in the building. What up, though, man?
Oh, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Good. Appreciate you joining us once again, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Love having you on. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. Let's get right into the down and dirty.
Hold on. I got to say one thing. I don't follow UFC at all, but I hope this Covington dude gets his
Let's
ass.
go, baby. That's what I'm saying.
You know the worst part of it, Mike, is he just does that for clicks. He's not even like that in
That's
real
the worst
life.
part.
Like he just talks shit like that for clicks. He's like a real life heel, and he gets his jaw broken sometimes. So it's pretty great.
He hasn't gotten his jaw broken in the same sense. But Mike, last night you're causing a ruckus in Detroit Lions fandom. You brought back an ex of ours, Matthew Stafford, and then you compare him to our guy right now, JG.
My main chick.
I guess real quick before we do jump into things, what is your perspective? So just so like people understand it correctly, because I know you're not saying he's better, right?
Right, yeah. No, Matthew Stafford is clearly the better quarterback. That's a given. We know that. He's got a better arm. He could do so much more things. He's more mobile. All I was saying was that when I looked up the stats and the analytics, I expected to be a much wider gap in what I was seeing, and it wasn't there. And that was the only thing I was saying. And I think everybody took it the wrong way, as people on the internet tend to do. And I wrote an article about it this morning, just kind of breaking down all the numbers that I was looking at. And again, people, you don't read the article, you don't understand what I'm saying. It's as simple as that.
That's fair.
So essentially you're saying like the gap isn't as drastic as a lot of people make it out to be.
Yeah, no, I assumed, that when you look at like Jared Goff's numbers and analytics and you compare them to somebody like Patrick Mahomes, for example, just an example. I mean, I know that's the top guy, but there's a very clear difference. You can see okay, everything on paper is okay, this guy's clearly way better than Jared Goff and is producing more. So I thought that there would probably be a gap that would maybe not be as wide, but would be wider with Stafford and Goff, and it's not. It's just not. And I mean, I guess their film and what you see with the eye test tells you a lot more, obviously, and you see that Stafford is a better quarterback. But in terms of what's being put on paper, what's on the scoreboard, what's in stats, what's in analytics, it's really not that big of a difference.
So for me, and again, I don't want to feel like so disrespectful with Jared Goff, because I am grateful for this winning season we're having. I just don't want to I don't want people to fall in love with him too much where we lock him up and we got one of those $50 million, $45 million deals, because I just think that's crippling to the franchise as a whole. But I do see the numbers, but I am a big eyeball guy, and I like context to him. And last night, because I know in your article I read it, and you mentioned some of the deep ball, the 20-yard air yards was a big thing for Jared Goff in comparison, and especially this year. But again, giving context, and this is why I credit Ben Johnson so much more for the rebirth or resurgence of Jared Goff following the trade, is because plays like this, if you want to throw any of them up, Chris, Ben Johnson has been so brilliant that he's been able to scheme open the Sam Laporta. This is against the Falcons. That's one of those 20-yard catches that he has, air yards. But there's a guy wide open where a Matthew Stafford where he's going to throw that contested. Another situation, there's a 20-yard air yard one against the Green Bay Packers. There's one against the Saints. These are just schemed open. And I just hate that when Jared Goff is given the credit because you're able to say it's on the numbers. It's just without context. It's just I feel like Ben Johnson's a big piece of it too. The one, the flea flicker they had against the Panthers. That was a sick ass play by Ben Johnson, by the way. Shout out. But I guess with context like that, does that matter, or we just go off the paper?
Well, I think that look, obviously they're scheming guys open for him, and that's great. But I think that you in reality you're picking out 4 plays here and I don't know if that tells the whole story, because, and I'm just looking up the stats right now per FTN, he's completed 19 passes of 20 yards or more. So I mean, you picked out 4 in which they were wide open, but I don't think it's like that on every play. I think obviously they're helping him out in that regard, but there's some plays where he's been able to throw into some really tight windows, especially there's a play against Chicago where on the comeback drive, on the one that they scored the game-winning touchdown, there's a pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown that's like in this crazy window, over 20 yards, and like you would have thought a guy who threw 3 interceptions that day would not have thrown that pass, but he did, and he completed it. And there's little stuff like that I think people tend to ignore because there's kind of this it's recency bias, man. He had a really bad game on Sunday, and I think that people go, well, that's how it's always been. He had that bad game on Sunday. That's how every game is. And if he didn't have a bad game, it's because somebody handed something to him. And I'm not the biggest Jared Goff lover in the world, too, man. Like, I see everybody posting these Justin Herbert Lions Photoshop things, and if Justin Herbert could come to Detroit, man, I'll drive Jared Goff to the airport. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, like, I just think that bias, it affects your ability to see what's actually happening. And what's happening is he's not that bad of a quarterback. He's a decent guy. He's just not as good as some of the guys that you want. And unfortunately, those guys are just not available.
They're tough to get.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think that has been our sentiment for a long time, is that he is a good quarterback. He is, if everything is around him is perfect, if every situation is working perfectly, he can be a great quarterback at times. But, I personally want a guy who can, if the situation breaks down, if the play breaks down, if wide receivers are off the routes, he can go make a play himself. Like, I don't see Jared Goff going out there and making a play himself. If the pocket collapses, he can spin out of that, get a couple yards on a broken play. That's what I want really bad. Or someone that can drive the ball down the field with their arm. But I just think I have so much faith in Brad Holmes when it comes to evaluating talent and drafting players, maybe outside of interior defensive linemen, but when it comes to everybody else in the draft that he grabs, I just have faith that they're going to work out, that they're going to be a good player, that he knows talent when he sees it. And what I saw out of Hendon Hooker, I know it's in college, I know it's in a gimmicky system, but the way he could do things, the way he was the no-doubt Heisman until he got injured, a no-doubt first-round pick until he suffered that injury. And I just think he can do what Goff is doing right now, like work the ball into the hands of your playmakers. At the very least, he'll be able to get the ball in the hands of these guys in space. Maybe not as efficiently right off the bat, and I'm not saying put him in right now. Obviously, that's not. Goff is our best chance to win this year as of right now, but I think he could be able to do that going forward.
Well, I guess, here's what you hope happens. You hope that the Lions are like the 49ers were a couple years ago with Alex Smith, where Alex Smith was good enough to get the 49ers some wins, but then he started to kind of slow down, and they put this kid named Colin Kaepernick in, and suddenly they were balling out of control. And maybe that's Hendon Hooker for the Lions. I'm not saying that it is. I don't want to get everybody excited, but things like that happen. That happen all the time. So you never know. There could be a quarterback controversy here before you know it. But we just got to see what he can do on the field first, and that's not going to happen this year. As much as people want that to happen in any way, at this point, the Lions aren't even sure if they're going to activate him yet. So it's wait till preseason next year to get your takes off. But I am sure if that dude throws a 40-yard bomb in the first preseason game, it's over.
Yeah.
The takes are going to be just the hottest they could ever be.
Yeah.
What do you make of Hendon Hooker? I guess both coming out of the draft and as a player. What are the things you like? What are the things that make you nervous?
His age makes me really nervous. He's 2 years younger than Jared Goff is. That's crazy for a rookie. So you're looking at a guy who, when his rookie deal is up, will be 30 years old, and that's concerning to me. Obviously, the ACL is concerning. I didn't understand the draft pick when it happened. I was looking more at a guy like Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who plays for the Browns now. I was looking at a guy that maybe you could bring on and develop over the long term, instead of going for a guy that I just don't know where he fits. If he at this age, I don't know where he fits. If Goff gets this contract extension and plays better, then what? Then what is Hendon Hooker? He's just a guy on the bench. He's the premium backup at that point. You use a third round pick on that you could have used on something else. So I don't know. I mean, I think that if Goff gets better and continues to play better, like he did for well over 30 games before this little stretch, then there's a possibility, and this is just me talking, this is not no inside information or anything, there's a possibility that maybe the Lions look to trade Hendon Hooker at some point.
And what does the fear of losing Ben Johnson do for you? You know, we've seen Jared Goff in a Jeff Fisher offense, we've seen Jared Goff in an Anthony Lynn offense, and we've seen him in a Sean McVay and Ben Johnson offense. And that's when he's really thrived and put up those, you know, great to elite numbers, is when you have an amazing play caller and scheme design like those two guys in Sean McVay and Ben Johnson. More than likely, Ben Johnson is not going to be a part of the Detroit Lions coaching staff next year. I mean, anything's possible, but I find it very hard to believe he's not going to take one of these head coaching positions. Does that do anything to you of maybe getting a guy who is more able in an offense that won't be as tight and as great as a Ben Johnson designed one?
Nice and tight.
Man, look, it's going to be different, you know, for sure. It really just depends on a few things. Like when Ben Johnson goes, who's he going to take with him?
Yeah.
And right now, the expectation is that Tanner Engstrom, who the Lions have sort of been grooming to kind of be his replacement, will be his replacement. But like, what if Ben goes to Los Angeles and takes Tanner with him to be his OC? Like, then what are the Lions doing? That's where my head is at currently, just wondering what that's going to look like. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of offensive gurus around right now. You just got to find the right one who knows what to do with the players that you have on the field. And I think the best bet is to hope that Tanner Engstrom is staying here and is the guy that they groom him to be.
Yeah, that's why I'm in more favor of like a Hendon Hooker, just because you mentioned Colin Kaepernick, and that's a great example. But the 49ers did it once again with Brock Purdy. I mean, Jimmy G's another example of that too. Is like it's more so the system, which if Ben goes, the system that we saw like revive Goff is gone. So like, give me the guy who's able to make a little bit of a play on his feet and is on a rookie deal where you can afford to surround him with a star-studded cast. I mean, Jalen Hurts is a second-round pick. Went subpar, above 500 his first year starting his sophomore season. But then they went and got A.J. Brown. They traded for all these other pieces. And then next thing you know, they're in the Super Bowl. And same thing with Goff. The year Goff went, he was in a rookie deal too. So I'm just more a proponent of that in building the team if you're not able to have like that genius offensive coordinator. But real quick, man, Lions got a big game tomorrow night. Is this still count as national television? I heard it's just only on NFL Network.
I don't know. It's so
the
weird.
Zone. Yeah,
It's just NFL Network, not a national thing. No,
that's.
I mean, it's national for everyone who has NFL Network, but it's not like everyone can see it.
That's
so
dirty.
stupid.
That is dirty. What's your take on the game tomorrow?
Run the ball. Simple as that, man. The Broncos have the worst run defense in the entire league. They've allowed more rushing yards than anybody. Run the ball, and you will win this game. And it's really that simple. And like, if this were 2015 Russell Wilson, I'd be terrified right now. But it's 2023 Russell Wilson, and he doesn't move like he used to. And I'm not saying that he won't have a game. Like, he could still play, but do all you can to stop Cortland Sutton. Run the ball. You're gonna win.
Yeah, Mike, we appreciate you joining us as always. And like, what does the defense have to do to fix what they've like? It hasn't been. I don't put everything on them because they have been put in bad situations with turnovers on downs and punting on your own or going for it on your own 30-yard line and not setting them up for success. But they got to get to Russell Wilson. Is there a way they can get to Russell Wilson in this game?
Man, I think the only way you can do it is if you help Aiden Hutchinson by getting some sort of pressure on the other side of the line. And definitely you got to stop setting – your offense has to stop setting your defense up for failure, because they've allowed 34 points in the last 4 games, and that's just based off of the Lions' offense putting the opponent's offense in a position where they're already in their own Detroit's territory. So you have to stop doing that. You got to stop turning the ball over. Stop going for the 4th down in your own territory. Just play a little smarter, and again, like, run the ball. Just run the ball.
Speaking of that, like, getting pressure opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, do you have any clarity of what happened with Bruce Irvin last week? Why he wasn't available for game time? Was it the ankle? Was it? Is that what it was? Is he healthy?
Yeah.
Is he good to go for this matchup? Because we saw him get, even though he's, trying to get to that early bird special right after the game, and the Werther's originals were in the locker room. Like, he went out there and he made plays against the Saints.
That's why I took the game off the early bird special.
Yeah, it was the ankle. They didn't feel good enough about it by the end of the week, even though he wound up practicing on Thursday and Friday, but they didn't feel like he was ready to go. But as far as I know, he should play tomorrow. They still have to elevate him yet, which hasn't happened, but they do same day elevations all the time, so it could be some news coming here in the afternoon tomorrow. But maybe Tyson Alualu too. Maybe we'll see his debut tomorrow.
Awesome.
Excellent execution on the name pronunciation there. I appreciate
got you.
that. But,
I got you.
Real quick, I got to see, and I'll let you get going here too. I apologize for keeping you so long. But DJ, he's coming back. Maybe Houston, and early January. How much of a revitalization do you think they'll give this defense upon the return? Or do you think it's kind of all lost either way?
It's not going to hurt it. I can tell you that much. It's not going to hurt it. No. We're talking about a guy who's like one of the top safeties in the league, man. So this is big. This is really going to help Jerry and Cameron Sutton, because they're going to have somebody over the top that's going to be able to help them, which Tracy Walker was not doing that, and that's why he's been benched, and that's why Melifonwu came in last week, and I thought Melifonwu had a pretty good game. Yeah. And Kirby, this is going to help him too, because now he doesn't have to have all the pressure of trying to pick up the slack for Tracy, or he doesn't have to try to be the number one safety back there anymore. So I think this will definitely help. Obviously, we just got to find out when that's going to be, and I think my guess is Dallas.
Yeah, awesome. I love to hear that. We're definitely going to need him against Dallas, because they look pretty dangerous. And I remember last year at camp seeing Deshaun Elliott. Me and Easy were at camp. I was like, damn, he's pretty good size. And then if he came walking over, I was like, holy shit, like, he's big. That's a big guy. So I thought he played a good game too. I'm excited to see what he can do going forward. But Mike, we appreciate you for joining us, man. Before we let you go, shout out to the people where they can get more of your content, where your articles are going up, and what you got cooking for the rest of the year.
Well, you can hate tweet me at A to Z _ Payton, which has been happening a lot since last night. But I'm muting a lot of people, man. I block everybody like I'm Dikembe Mutombo. I don't care.
Not today.
Not today. And then you can find all my articles at A to Z sports.com/Detroit.
Are the Pistons breaking the NBA record? Straight losses?
Dude, I don't know why, but I kind of hope so. It's really weird. Like, I want to see how bad it can get.
History, baby.
He's dirty.
Might as well break some sort of record.
Might as well. If it's there, go for it.
I ain't mad at you. Mike, I appreciate you, brother. You got a Pistons podcast too, right? You still doing that?
Yeah, that's right. Bad Boys and Beyond. We took the week off, but next week we will be back with our Joe Dumars Part 2 episode. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Mike, I appreciate you. You're a great guy. You're the fucking man. Keep killing it. You're putting A to Z on the map. I didn't even know about them till you, man. So keep crushing it, brother.
Appreciate you, Mike.
Thanks, man. Later.